Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. This is Metatron speaking. I have a really important set of information to bring forward to you today. So I'm going to be talking about what really happened to Lemuria. Now, Lemuria is a massive island that was present on the Earth a long time ago. It was an island paradise. It was a group of individuals who were in tune with spirituality. They were in tune with the community, working together, benefiting the whole. They were an example for a really long time of what we would want to ascend to or reach towards as living in a way that is higher than 3D, is higher than what we're experiencing now. Lemuria, like Atlantis, had this time period that was like golden and beautiful and wonderful. And both civilizations went through different situations which ended the civilizations very dramatically. I'm going to be telling you about a lifetime of mine. Now, if you haven't been watching my videos before, there are two other videos that I've made on Lemuria before. So both of those videos were talking about a past lifetime of mine on Lemuria, and they're taking place during different times in the same lifetime. So in the first vision that I got, come here, Oliver. Oliver's trying to bite my cords, so I'm gonna like grab him. In the first vision that I got, I was younger. I was an adult, but I was younger. And then the next vision I got, I was a little bit older. And now I'm bringing to you a third vision or a third part of that same lifetime where I'm older and totally different things are happening. So this is really, really important for us because what happened on Lemuria and what happened on Atlantis and probably what happened in other places too that we don't yet know about. It's a repeat. It's a warning. It's the same things that are going on now on Earth. So the same energies, the same problems are cropping up right now. So it's so important for us to know what happened in these other places that were on Earth so that we can not make the same mistakes. We already know what happens when we make mistakes. It all crashes and burns. We have come here on Earth at this time to learn from our mistakes, to heal the wounds, to step out of our comfort zone, to finally heal and move forward. So it's so important to bring forward the information. Susan and I have been getting information about Lemuria and our guides have been setting us up for this essentially for about a year, which is crazy because Susan and I have not been working together that long. But almost from the very beginning, Susan started coming across energetic issues that were tied in with Lemurian past lifetimes. And finally, we were talking together a few weeks ago, and all the pieces started coming together. And so this is what we're bringing to you now is all these past lifetimes we've seen, channeling our guides, tuning into all this stuff. It's all finally come together to make, I would say, a perfect picture, but honestly, it's kind of a frightening picture. But it's necessary for us to learn from this and us to be aware of it so we can fix it. So let me tell you about this lifetime. So it is going to be from my perspective, my lifetime. Just to give you like a general idea of what happens in the first two videos, in case you don't want to watch those in full. In the first video, I'm like young, I'm like super in love with the spiritual leader of our tribe or of our group. Um, there's many of us that are extremely in tune with energy. We have essentially psychic visions where at one point we all become aware, one after the other, that we're going to have what looks like a hurricane. And it was very strange for us because we had never had a hurricane. We didn't have a word for a hurricane. We had no way to prepare for a hurricane, but we were shown that something was headed towards our island. And we were able to work with our guides and with each other in order to stop that hurricane from hitting the island. So that's in my probably in my early 20s when this happens. The next part of the lifetime that I see, I've partnered to the spiritual leader. We were like meditating somewhere in a cave, and all of a sudden there was a hurricane that hit. We had no idea, we had no warning. So something's going on in this vision because it's like, why earlier in my life did we know it was coming and we can tune into that? And now something has changed. All of a sudden, no one knew it was coming. It surprised all of us. It was devastating. Nobody died, but it really decimated the way we were living, and kind of shook us all up and showed us what we were no longer connected with. We were no longer connected with our guides. So that's kind of the last that I've told you guys so far about this lifetime. So here is the third section of this lifetime. So this started off with actually Archangel Michael. He always does this. He'll like grab my energetic body and like lift me up and like drop me off somewhere. So he drops me off on the beach of Lemuria, the part of the beach that I'm familiar with. I'm sure there's many beaches there. But he drops me off where I'm familiar, and I'm like, okay, no one's here. So I start walking back towards where the huts are to find the others. And this is when I look down at myself and I can see, okay, I'm like tanned, I have brown hair. I know that I'm the same woman from the other two visions, but I'm older now. I have brown and gray hair in a really big braid. So we're just further in the future now. The center, I'm just going to tell you what I got. The center of my chest is burning as I walk. This is an old respiratory virus that never completely healed. I feel numb. I feel serious. There is no joy in me. So this is like just a total different phase of life for me now. We'll get back to that respiratory illness later. So I'm looking for my partner. I find my partner. He has the same soul as Archangel Michael. It's one of his duplicates. He was the spiritual leader of our tribe for many years, until slowly we all lost our psychic abilities. In our youth, we were connected to our guides and our lives were harmonious and connected to each other. There is distrust within the tribe now. Divine knowledge has been replaced by suspicion and fears. Over time, all of us lost our divine connections. We can no longer hear our guides. My partner lost his role within the tribe as their spiritual leader. He took this event very hard. He has shame and feels somehow responsible for the decline of our tribe. Some tribe members have broken off into new tribes, vowing a better way of life, but they are hostile and chaotic. They stir up division. I am no longer with my partner. His anger is more than I can bear, though there is much anger in me as well. All of us in the tribe are battling depression and fears, it seems. Life seems to hand us one difficult event after another. I have a new partner now. He has taken a leadership role within our tribe. He is very vocal about the things he dislikes about our tribe, and he too points fingers of blame instead of looking for solutions. I do not love him. I feel like a ship without a rudder, adrift at sea, having no direction. My new partner seems to have a direction, and while it is an unhealthy direction, it sometimes feels safe to follow those who seem certain of something when we ourselves have lost our sense of direction. This is a recipe for disaster. I feel despair for myself and my people, but I dare not explore that feeling and have it swallow me whole. I look now upon my former partner. The glow about him is gone. His quiet confidence is gone. There are dark rings under his eyes from staying up much of the night, contending with his thoughts. He is angry with me for taking another partner and doesn't want to speak with me much. What we could not know is that there was a larger spiritual battle going on for Lemuria. Energetic attacks from unseen galactic energies had left us with blocks to divine knowledge and blocks to our power. Over time, these effects grew stronger and stronger, and our society shifted from cooperation to competition and fear. My new partner and others made an alliance with a galactic group in order to have them share their technology with us. Technology was not present on Lemuria before that moment. This galactic group came, some of us made a deal with them, they gave us their technology. This galactic group did not have our best interests in mind, and they were in fact preying upon our weakened and divided state in an attempt to overthrow our civilization, which had been known for its unity and harmony. So, think about this. So we think, oh, what a great coincidence. We're in such bad shape. These guys have come, and maybe this is something that'll help us out. And we had no discernment. We had no discernment because we had no connection to divine energy. So everything we did was not lining up right. And so we get ourselves deeper and deeper in trouble. So the technology they gave us made something that looked like plastic. And it's like, oh, plastic, that's like somewhat harmless, right? That's what we thought on Earth when we first created plastic, right? We're like, this is so cool, it's so helpful. Nobody was thinking down the line about how this could be harmful. So Lemuria now has something like plastic. The process to make it was very environmentally dirty, just like ours. So when we were making it, it smelled bad, it polluted the air, it polluted the water. We, right, like us, we're being so unconscious, we're not thinking much of it. Oh, it's doing this, it's doing that. There were huge impacts to Lemuria from that you'll see. My partner, so remember, I'm now partnered to this guy who's one of the ones who made the deal to get this technology. My partner hired workers and made products that seemed useful and convenient, and many people would purchase these. Yet the harsh chemicals released caused problems for our tribe, including acid rain that led to respiratory illnesses in many of us. Remember, I had that respiratory illness when I'm walking. I'm like, man, this thing never healed. That's part of it. So it caused respiratory illnesses in both humans and animals. At the beach, dolphins and other animals would wash ashore, seemingly healthy, but poisoned by the invisible particles released into the environment by our new technology. So again, you're probably like, oh man, that really sucks for the animals. There's a bigger energetic story going on here. The dolphins on Lemuria were golden dolphins. So these were dolphins that they were like a whitish yellow color. They're called golden dolphins. They were carriers of crystalline energy. So if you're a galactic group and you are trying to bring down the vibration of an area so that they can destroy themselves, you're going to knock out, you're going to kill anything that's holding crystalline energy, whether it's a human, whether it's an animal. So this was killing the dolphins that were holding this higher vibration for us. Feelings of envy arose in the other faction tribes. Now remember, we had broken up into separate tribes because it was like people were mad, things weren't working out. So we started dividing off and going, well, I have a better idea. I can make it work better. People, follow me. Just like we have now, right? Right now, it's like we'll be the same country and we're still doing this where it's like, no, I have a better idea. No, I have, and we're dividing. This is the wrong direction. If we are dividing, we are not getting closer to the right solutions. So envy started happening because this was the first time in Lemurian history that some individuals had access to something, plastic, or that technology that made the plastic, and others did not. And so we're creating this haves and haves not kind of energy. Previously, everything gained by one individual was shared with everyone. Now, certain individuals were gaining power and resources that greatly outweighed the others. Does this not sound like where we live now? Some people have all the power, some people have all the resources, and a whole bunch of us don't. So this is what happens at a low vibration. My new partner, was one of these individuals who was gaining power and gaining wealth and all of this stuff for himself. After a time, I could not tolerate it any longer. I didn't like what was going on, but I just did nothing about it, right? Because I have this solar plexus damage. I have this damage to my willpower and my confidence. So I'm just allowing things to go on in front of me that I don't really agree with. So at some point I get tired of it and I'm like, I don't want to be your partner anymore. And he is completely like unfazed by this. I saw like right after that, he had like multiple partners with him. Kind of reminds me of like the ultra wealthy people today who, a lot of like celebrity men, if they're single or whatnot, you see like a bunch of women with them all the time. It was like that. It was, he did not miss me. It was like I was holding him back from what he really wanted to be doing. So now he was free to do that. I'm still in love with the first partner. I'm still in love with the Archangel Michael soul. So I'm wondering what my first partner thinks about my failed partnership with Mr. Wants Money and Wants Power. I still care what my first partner thinks about me. I still love him, even though my emotional maturity was not great enough for me to like overcome the struggles in our relationship. My first partner did not partner again. He withdrew from society. He withdrew into his pain. When he grew sick at the end of his life, I would check on him and I would like bring him food and water and try to help him. And I wanted to reconcile, but again, he never knew it because I wasn't mature enough to tell him how I felt. I didn't want to be rejected, so I just kind of kept it in. And honestly, he still resented me so much. He did not want my help. He did not want me there. He wouldn't look me in the eye. It was like just so much hurt there that he didn't want to look me in the eye and then like fall in love with me again or get like, or have all those feelings again from stuff. So it was just complicated. So now listen to what happens on the bigger scale. Civil war like battles began between these different tribes that we had broken up into. Though by the time the Civil War starts breaking out, I'm dead. My first partner is dead. This is later in the future, so now we're going to see what happens even after our death, because this is going on for generations, and it keeps escalating. So now we're turning into civil wars. The civil wars increased the fear and the distrust between people. There were feelings of helplessness in many of the people as events would seem to spiral quickly out of control. Fear was ruling many decisions. Think about how governments run now and how many decisions are based off of fear. Or think about anything, right? Anytime you are making decisions from fear, whether it's personally, whether it's a CEO, whoever it is, you're coming from a 3D energy or lower. The world and your life can never improve if you remain in 3D. You have to get to a place where you're making decisions from love. From love. I'm just going to leave it at that. It cannot be from fear. So here's what Susan and I learned. There are deep traumas still present in those who incarnated on Lemuria at the time of the civilization's decline. So this decline, when it went from paradise to all done and gone and the whole thing was over with, this took place over 200 years. At the very end, it culminated with an unseen series of galactic attacks that placed a technological device deep into the ocean floor, causing parts of the island to break away and sink into the ocean. These were felt as intense and frequent earthquakes. This was a terrifying time, as parts of the island were destroyed and would disappear from sight, seemingly overnight. So this was basically like a one-sided war, because these galactics, these are not just any galactics. These are cyborgs, or these are beings who work under the cyborgs who are doing all of this. This is not the bulk of galactic beings who are loving, who are in a much higher dimension than us, who are very supportive of us. So this was dark galactic energies, dark galactic beings, who basically were like, we're going to make life even harder. We need to get rid of this island. So this is like over a long period of time where these like earthquakes are happening and like parts of the land are just dropping into the ocean. Many people fled Lemuria in droves, while others stayed to attempt to claim more power over the region. Ultimately, the sea floor was so unstable that it tore the island apart bit by bit. Whatever technology they used, I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to understand what, well, I guess when we're dead, we'll understand what that was, but I don't know what it was. I didn't go into great detail asking about it. But it makes the sea floor unstable, and the island just keeps moving the like tectonic plates is what he's saying. He's showing it to me almost like it's something pointy that was drilled into a certain part of the plates, almost like it was irritating it, making it constantly want to shake. Um, so in a 10-year period, the island had gone, think about this, 10 years. The island goes from its full size to crumbling and sinking into the ocean. This is a huge island. I mean, it's not like Australia, but it's pretty darn big. This is insane that in 10 years it just disappears. Ooh, yeah. Lemuria was an island paradise, but within a single lifetime, all of that changed. The stage, and let me give you the backstory. The stage was set for our downfall, or for the downfall of Lemuria, in my youth, in that lifetime, and in the years before I was born. So the first step that happened was galactic beings who work for the darkness infected different places on the island with an energetic toxin. So people would come across this energetic toxin in like very innocent ways because it was placed into the environment. So somebody would go swimming or somebody would do this or do that and interact with one particular area, and it would expose them to this toxin. And people wouldn't realize that it was actually an energetic attack. So if you were exposed to this toxin, it would create an energetic block that was meant to slow progress for that person, slow evolution, slow ascension, block the light, and interfere. Ultimately, the reason they did this, they were trying to interfere with the fate of Lemuria. Lemuria was doing way too well in their minds. They wanted to bring it down. And so they start off by bringing in this toxin that is blocking access to divine information. And that, over time, all of us had it. Sorry, guys, I touched my mic. Over time, all of us had this toxin, and it just set into effect like this domino effect, where we can't hear our guides. We fall into fear. We fall into despair. We start dividing. People are interested in power. People are interested in money. It's Earth. We went from, what was it? Really? At its, really? So Metatron is saying at Lemuria's peak, it was in 7D. No wonder when I think about it, I'm like, that's where I want to go back. 7D. It went from 7D to 3D in one lifetime. Can you imagine? So here's the thing. All of us, I hate to be real with it, all light workers come to planets during the times that are critical. If there's anything critical going on, critical going up, critical going down, good things happening, bad things happening, we want to be present for all of it because we help. If it's a plan to ascend somewhere like Earth, like right now, we all come because we're trying to help Earth ascend. And if something bad is happening, energetic toxins are being released because they're trying to take down Lemuria, guess what? We all incarnate because we all want to try to stop it. So most people listening to this were there at that time, whether you realize it or not. You might have a memory of Lemuria that doesn't include the downfall. You might have no recollection of Lemuria whatsoever, but it's just the nature of who we are that we show up when things are getting serious. And when Lemuria and Atlantis were attacked and destroyed in these energetic ways, this was a big deal. This was the key to Earth dropping down into 3D. I didn't know that. There's the motion attached to that. Okay, let me look at my notes. Yeah, because at the end, we're just like Earth, where we were killing each other over resources. Like, how stupid is that? We were killing each other over plastic. Plastic that was actually harming us, killing the creatures that we needed to be successful. Some were driven by power and money, and others were lost in despair and powerlessness. This is what our planet is like now. Lemuria's history shows how powerful it is to have a personal connection to the divine and to be able to use all of our senses to know our guides and understand them. So you might be wondering, okay, like what about these toxins? Do we still have them? Yes, we still have them. You have them until someone who knows how to remove them can go in and specifically remove them. And this is what Metatron and Susan's guides have been showing her and helping her do for other people for about a year. So every time she would come across someone with this, she would note it. She'd be like, well, this is a weird thing I don't ever see. And she would always kind of see it in the same places in the body, kind of shown in the same ways, causing the same problems. Susan and I come across things like this all the time where we are able to help anybody with anything because our guides are able to help anybody with anything because whether we know what it is or not, our guides do. So if Susan was coming across these things, her guides are like, okay, this guide is going to come in, this is what we're going to do, this is what you're going to do, and she would do it and everything would be fine. But now we're getting the bigger picture so that we know the backstory to these energies. We know where they came from and why they are there. Okay, I'm about to go off on a tangent. Let me stick to my notes. So, I was telling you earlier about Lightworkers and everyone watching this essentially. There's a really good chance that you were there on Lemuria during that critical time. Because guess what? You're here on Earth at a critical time. If you chose to come to Earth at a crazy time like this, you were definitely in Lemuria. You were there in Atlantis when it fell. Like this is what we do. Some of the trauma that we carry as light workers comes from the fact that we have incarnated to help many, many, many times in many, many, many places. And a whole lot of those times, despite us trying to help, it didn't work, right? We incarnated on Lemuria to help. Look, I incarnated on Lemuria to help. You saw what I was doing. I was powerless, right? Or I thought I was powerless. I was watching things happen right in front of me and I was doing nothing about it. So ultimately, that civilization failed. And then once I died and went back and reviewed my life, I would be like, oh, shoot, I came there to help and it didn't work out. So we have trauma from watching civilizations decline, knowing that we had wanted to help them. We have trauma from watching planets be destroyed and be taken over when we went there to help. Um, so there's just emotions there that aren't helpful that need to be cleared. So it's really specific trauma that's present, and it's this really specific toxin energy that is present if you were on Lemuria during, I don't know, this like 200-year period essentially. So let's see. Yeah, a lot of guilt and shame for not being able to save somewhere, especially when we got to experience what it was like at its peak. We got to experience 7D, harmony, bliss, working together, like heaven on earth. We got to experience heaven on earth, and then we watched that descend into hell on earth. So there's just so much that goes along with that. We could have anger at the darkness, anger at ourselves. Because these traumas are complex and because there are toxins present still in some of our energy bodies, we've created the new service. So I've referenced this service before. It's called Lemurian Healing. So it's a brand new service. It's available now. It's going to target specific trauma and specific energy damage that was done as a result of incarnating on Lemuria. So this healing is going to allow the soul to move forward without these things holding them back. Um, Susan's going to be doing this service. It's not only going to be healing the individual who pays for the service, it's also going to be healing their ancestral line. So we could see that. How do I explain this? And I don't know, I might be going into too much detail, but basically it's being carried through the ancestral line on like a physical level, which is strange, but true. So what Susan's going to do, she's going to clear the toxin from you. She's going to clear the trauma from you. She has to go in and fix your DNA because when this toxin came in, it basically it deleted part of your DNA that you needed, and then it inserted itself in there to give you DNA that you don't want. So she's going to be clearing this out and healing and repairing what should be there. And she's going to do that DNA repair all the way back in your ancestral line. So this is really important because this healing is going to reach more people more quickly because we're going able to go back in the ancestral line. So this is going to have impacts, of course, for the future, and this is going to have impacts for the past. Basically, when something like this happens, it might be hard to understand, but it's actually really exciting because when we are able to heal these specific, I mean, what do you call this? This is it's almost like a biochemical attack, but it's energetic. When we go back and we heal the damage from these like subtle wars basically that we went through, it's gonna undo the history at some point. At some point, if we can clear this toxin from enough people here, then in the past, the people won't have the toxin, which means they'll be able to hear their guides, which means the outcome is going to be different. And I know that's like, like too much for the brain, but just know that this is true whether you're getting the Lemurian healing, whether you're getting any kind of healing, any work that you're doing for your energy, for your mental health, for your emotional health, for your spiritual health, all these changes that you do within yourself, there are impacts, positive impacts, into the future and into the past. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing much. I don't feel like I'm really helping the world. I'm such a mess. How could I be helping the world? Well, if you're a mess and you are taking some time to help yourself slowly through your childhood wounds, through whatever wounds come up in you, then you're making a huge impact. So just know that. Know that no work that we do here is small. We just can't fathom how much these changes ripple out forwards and backwards in time to change things. So, okay. So this is what I wanted to share with you. This is massive. Um, I anticipate at some point we will have a service for Atlantis as well. It's already been shown to us to some extent, but I think we're going to not roll it out super quickly. Are we going to roll it out super quickly? I think we're going to give it some time. Um, and I believe that something like this happened in other locations as well. So as we get the whole story and as we get the full understanding of everything, we will present these healings for everyone in case they resonate for you. If you are, if you're feeling like, I want to be healed, but I'm not sure if this is really me, you can always email us and ask us, and we will check with Metatron and see if it's something that benefits you. Because obviously, if you don't need it, you don't need it, right? Um, but like I said, like to be really honest, this is one of those things like when the galactic implant removal was brought forward, that was one of those things where it was like, oh my gosh. And also the black magic clearing. When both of those services were brought forward for us, I thought in my mind, in my limited, silly mind, I was like, oh, this is probably just gonna be for like certain people. And then my mind was opened and I was like, oh my gosh, like all of us have this. Everyone has this. It's just one of those things. But, that's what Susan and I are, that's what we're here for. We're here to address all the things that are holding back the light workers so that the light workers can get back out there and do their thing without all these issues with, you know, powerlessness and hopelessness and fear and all this stuff that we're carrying over from all these different experiences. So if you have any questions, you can email us or you can put them in the comments if you like. Either way, I'm going to link the two past Lemurian videos that I did in case you're interested. And I'll put a link also for the Lemurian healing if you want to read more about it or, ask us anything about it. Okay, this is everything that I have for you guys today. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.